Welcome to the Warriors of Light podcast, where we interview other warriors of light, people who are up to big things and making a positive impact in the world. Welcome to the Warriors of Light podcast. I'm Allison Maya Rose Rogers, and today I've got a very special guest with me. I've got Amy Joy joining me. And Amy, hey Amy, so glad you're here. You're joining us from Mexico today, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Beautiful. Well, and you just launched a book that's #1 international bestseller and called Get Your Shit Together. So I'm really excited, except for on the book title, it doesn't quite say shit. It has a little icon there. So that's beautiful. And so we're going to be talking to you about that. Amy has a plethora of experiences. I've known Amy for years now, and it never ceases to amaze me, the experiences you share and the depth of wisdom and knowledge. And you also are the CEO and founder of a healing center in Mexico. You're a coach and you are a combo facilitator, a Reiki master. You're certified in sound, instant miracle, and crystal healing. And you worked 4 years as a missionary in the jungles of New Guinea, and you're a single mother of 2 sons. And you call yourself a child of the planet. I love this in your bio. Having visited 62 countries. And you really are passionate about helping people. And just from personal experience, I will say, there are some people that I know that, they kind of, say things, they talk the talk, but they don't really walk the talk. You definitely walk the talk. Your heart is always geared towards helping people heal and become better versions of themselves. And I know whenever I'm around you, I'm inspired to be the best version of myself. And it's been so amazing to watch you on this journey of really creating and writing this book so that you can share this message with people. And I know you, maybe you can tell me if you feel like this is true, but I feel like this book was almost channeled through you, that you used your experiences to channel this greater light and wisdom to really help people be able to break through their limiting beliefs. And you have come up against so many in your life. So I just want to start by talking about the book, and was wondering if you could just share some of your experiences from the book, what you learned. Of course, we're going to get to know you this way and some of your background, but share with all of us, with those who don't know you, a little bit more about your journey that you share in the book.
Okay. Thank you, Allison. Thank you for having me. So excited to be here. So yeah, I was told by the divine to write this book, and thank you to you, Allison. You directed me to Michael Drew and his team, and I spent 5 weeks in Guatemala writing full time, and it was a journey for sure. And
well, I want to pause here and just bring this up, because for anybody who's written a book, you know that this is like, it's like giving birth to a child, right? Yes, you have this pregnancy and all these struggles and these things that you come up against, and then you birth this creation and you're like, oh my gosh, it's finally here. And I don't know if you ran up against this too, but I know one of my biggest things in getting my book out there was feeling like I've just exposed myself to the entire world. like this is for my heart and my soul. So yeah, quite the journey.
Absolutely. I had a little panic attack yesterday, actually. I mean, just for a moment, because once you hear the rest of the story, you'll know why. So I grew up in Canada as a missionary kid. So my parents trained missionaries, and it was a beautiful existence in lots of ways. And it was really, really hard. It was male dominant. It was very conservative. It was cultish, which is hard for me to say out loud because I know some people might be watching, and I'm not here to hurt anyone, but it's just how I feel about what went on there, and the thinking and the controlling manner. And what I experienced for me was that men ruled, and women were just, they didn't have value, at least from what I could see and experience. And so I, at 8 years old, decided I was going to show them that women could be as cool as guys could. And so this is a lot of the journey. It was just my fight to prove, and ended up getting married, spent 4 years in the jungles of Papua New Guinea, and got to help medically and teach people how to read and write their own language. At least that was the goal. And It was beautiful, and my home life was hell. So my
Mm.
husband was super abusive, and it got to a point of life and death. And long story short, I ran with my two sons back to Canada, got full custody, and lived there for a few years, but the harassment continued. And it got to a point where I was like involuntarily twitching. The fear and the migraines and the pain, that the suffering that I was experiencing, just trying to be one step ahead and keep my kids and I alive, were extreme. So I ran to Mexico and I hid here for 12 years, and wasn't on social media, wasn't anywhere, in order to raise them and be able to raise them the way I felt I needed to and wanted to. And so this book is about the reprogramming. I believe that we've been given programs that we didn't ask for from our parents and our culture and our language and our governments and our friends, and a lot of them don't serve us. And so to be able to know what they are, to annihilate them, and to rewrite the ones that you want so that you can live a life of freedom,
Yeah, well, and
is
I
what I'm
want
on
to
a mission.
point out a couple things here, because I knew you when you were um, worried about first coming out on social media, because you had spent time in hiding. You really had this fear that if you were found, or if you
Yeah.
were discovered, that there would be a physical repercussion, that there would be harm. And so I want to visit that moment in just a second here. But first of all, I want to reiterate, and I want to focus on a couple of things that you said at the beginning, and that is the idea of growing up somewhat repressed. And I think this is a common thing. And I also feel like, for the women who grew up in cultures and in societies and religions where they were accepted and celebrated, that is so amazing. And in my experience, that is not what a lot of women experience. I really feel like we're going through a shift in the
Yeah.
planet right now, and really being able to embrace the divine feminine and recognize women as leaders and spiritual guides, and as wisdom keepers. And so I can definitely relate to your story of feeling like that this was a male dominated culture. In fact, one of the things that I experienced, and I'm sure you experienced many things like this. When I first got my Reiki training, I had this experience where I was playing basketball with a group of women, and a woman like landed on my foot, and I could hear her ankle snap and crack, and she immediately fell to the ground in pain and crawled over to the edge of the gym, and someone was going to get ice, and I said, in the spirit of wanting to help, can I do some Reiki? And she didn't know what that was. She was in so much pain. She's like, yeah, sure. And I remember putting my hands on her ankle and feeling this healing energy channel through me, and feeling this, and almost seeing in my mind the ligaments and the tendons reconnecting and healing. And after
Mhm.
about a minute, she's like, what are you doing? And I said, well, it's Reiki. She said, I think I'm better. And she got up and started walking. And you would think that this would be like, wow, this is so amazing. Thank you so much. But instead of that, she was actually a little bit spooked. And many of the women there are like, how did you do that? You aren't a man. You don't hold the priesthood. You don't have this ability to heal. And it actually became a very traumatic experience for me, because this particular friend never
Oh,
talked to me again, never came back to basketball. Many of the women there were like, I don't know if you should be doing this. And it really is sad for me to think about and reflect on now. But I know for me, there was, just because of this culture, that I shut down that healing and a lot of who I was, and just
wow.
accepted, that maybe I wasn't supposed to be doing this because I wasn't a man. And of course, I feel different now, but I think that's the story that a lot of women have. And so I'm really glad that you are writing this book.
Mhm.
And I love the stories you share, because I think that this really helps us realize that we aren't alone in our
Yeah.
limiting beliefs. We aren't alone in the way that we were raised, and those things. But I want to focus on the moment when you decided that it was time to come out of hiding, that your message, that the conduit of the divine, that the wisdom that was wanting to flow through you was more important than this fear that you had holding you back. Can you share what that was like, and what was the catalyst in helping you decide that it was finally time to get out there and share your message?
Hmm. Well, I can feel my heart beating just now thinking about it. Like I did some heavy breathing, honestly. Like it was huge. It was huge. I mean, from not being anywhere, like fake names and the whole bit, to like having my face out there was super scary. I actually went to Gerald, your husband, and I called him, and I was supposed to do a Facebook live, my first one, to like where I'm speaking and have to get out there with my name there. And he actually did some hypnotherapy on me, and that cleared me. That got me over the last little bit to be able, I mean, I've been doing all this prep to do it, like, for months, right? But then when it came to actually doing it, whew, so I had to get rid of a little more of that trauma, that was there. And it come I can't say it doesn't come up, it still comes up. But I've learned, and this is also in the book, the more comfortable you can be in the uncomfortable, the better life is. And so I just take that fear with me, because living in a box, living in fear, I'm done. I am done living that way. No more.
And what a great example you are. And even your example in saying, hey, I know this message. There may be people out there that you love that don't agree with the way that you see things
Mhm.
now, or that maybe still hold
Yeah.
on to that old belief system. So thank you for being brave enough and courageous enough to share this message, and for
Mhm.
breaking through those limiting beliefs, doing what you needed to be able to put this message out there so people like me and those that are listening right now can really benefit from this. I'd love for you to share a story from the book. I know you have so many good stories in there. I was trying to decide, like, which one should I pick? Which one should I ask you to share? But I would love for you just to tune into your intuition right now and just pick a story that you feel like might resonate with somebody that's listening right now, and what you were able to do to really break through your limiting beliefs around that story.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I think I know which one. I want to share the story of how I was flying into the tribe for the very first time. Well, the very first time with my son Braden. He was 1 years old, sitting on my lap. And we were in the helicopter. The only way in and out of this tribe was by helicopter until
And
we
where was
built.
the tribe? Is this the one in New Guinea, right?
This is Papua New Guinea. This is where they have bones in the noses and headdresses and painted faces
This
and
is not
bows
a
and
country
arrows
where
and
they turn on the water faucet and you get a drink of water.
no, 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 no. We had solar panels and our water came off of the roof. And yeah, I mean, it was literally the middle of the jungle. I used to laugh at Survivor. I would watch Survivor and laugh as I'm in the jungle watching Survivor. So, yeah, so it was our first time in, and all we had was a helipad. That was it. It was just pure jungle. And we were flying over the trees, and I always call it the broccoli, because when you look down, it looks like it's just broccoli for miles and miles, no space, no clearings anywhere. And all of a sudden we're flying, and woo, 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 all the sirens, like so many sirens. And the pilot, I'm in the back with Braden. I've got chainsaws and axes and gasoline and diapers and everything I need to open up a village, basically. And he's like, okay, we have to go down. And woo, woo, screaming. And I mean, it felt like we were crashing. Like it, my life flashed before my eyes in a sense. And I was like, okay, what do I do? And we ended up going down to the river, and we're following the river, trying to find a place to land while everything's screaming at us still. And we can't find anywhere. There's nothing. It's just trees and river, trees and river. All of a sudden we see this sandbar, and he lands the rails along against the sandbar with them hanging over the edge. And we get out, but in this moment, I'm like, if we flip into the water this way, we're dead. If we flip this way, then I think I can get out. But do I put the diapers there? It's just trying to figure out how to save us. That's even an option, right? And we get out, and here out of the tents, there's tents in the middle of nowhere, and this guy was panning for gold. And so the helicopter guy pilot's like, I'm gonna leave you here. I'm gonna go see what's wrong with the helicopter. And we're like, oh. okay. He leaves. I mean, we are in the middle of nowhere with this guy burnt from head to toe. He had been blown up in an IRA bomb. And we sat, and we didn't know if the helicopter's coming back, if we were spending the night, we didn't know. And so the fear, it was just so real. And one of my tips to get over fear is to visualize, and this is what I did. I just visualized us in the tribe, safe and sound, telling the story about this crazy helicopter almost crash. And sure enough, a few hours later, heard the helicopter come, and he landed, and we got back in, and he took us the rest of the way. But
Wow. I can only imagine being with your 1-year-old in the middle of nowhere, not knowing if, you were going to be able to move on. But I love what you said about breaking through this limiting belief. And I really loved this portion of the book, because it really is allowing the vision of the future to pull you forward.
yeah.
And the reality is in that moment, you could have been crippled by fear, or you could be at peace, feeling like you're going to reach the tribe. And it really is this decision of, what am I experiencing in the moment? And so, do you believe, and this is something that people ask me a lot, because some people say, well, yeah, in that moment, maybe you have a choice of being in fear or in peace, but either way, the guy's going to come back and it's going to work out the same. But do you believe that your mindset and what you think, and the way that you either succumb to that fear or allow yourself to breathe through and visualize through it, do you believe it actually changes the outcome of the circumstance?
I do. I do actually. I believe we create whatever it is that we're experiencing. And for me, I'm just going to say, I created the abuse. I manifested that. I remember when my teacher, trainer, guru said that to me. He's like, "You manifested this," and I got so mad at him. I was like, "What? Heck, no, I didn't. No way. No way. I chose 7.5 years of abuse. No way. There's no way." And now I'm like, absolutely, I did. And I can see how, as a bully to my sister, I believed the lie that I didn't have value. Yes, I have understanding now that I was a child and that was a program, but at the end of the day, I chose to believe it. But the beautiful thing, Allison, is that we get to claim the mess, and we get to claim all the beauty that we've manifested. And at the end of the day, everything, I believe, is a gift. Life is happening for me, and everything is here to help me always, like everything, and like for real, like there isn't an exception to that. And the mind doesn't know the difference between reality and not, so you might as well visualize what it is that you want, and then
Mm.
watch the universe conspire.
I'm just kind of, I'm curious, because I know there's people that are listening to this and they're in the middle, right? You're on the other side of
Yeah.
things. You're able to look back now and say, oh, this actually worked out for me. This was actually exactly what I needed. This is actually what I chose. But I
Yeah.
know there are people that are in the middle of the mess right now. And what would you say to them, or what would you say to yourself, going back to them being in the middle of that abusive situation and feeling helpless and hopeless? What is the message you would tell yourself in that moment?
Well, what happened actually was, I was on a plane, and with my two little boys, and the stewardess comes up and says, "In case of lack of cabin pressure, mask will fall from the ceilings. If you're with your child, place the mask on yourself first, and then assist the child." Right? And so I out loud said, "Heck no, I wouldn't do it." And the lady next to me, thank goodness, heard me, and she says, "Honey," and she said it in such a way I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "If you're not around, who's going to take care of the kids?" And
Mm.
I was like, I factor in. I had no idea. I had no idea that I was even part of the equation, that I could choose me. I didn't know that. No one had ever taught me, that I know of, that that was even an option. And so I think that's the first step, is you gotta put the oxygen mask on yourself, and you are valuable, and you are worthy, And I would say this isn't permanent. This is temporary. If
Mm.
you decide to move, take action. If you decide to do things different, it's that same, definition of insanity, is doing the same thing and expect a different result. Of course, you can't keep doing the same thing. And step by step, you can change direction. And this can be in the past for you as well.
Yeah, well, and this is interesting because you actually experienced in the moment this analogy. I've heard a lot, put your own oxygen mask on before somebody else's. I'm a mother too. And if I had been in real danger of, losing cabin pressure, I'm not sure that I would feel like, oh, I got to put my oxygen mask on first. But you were actually in that situation. And here's what I think is, again, kind of revolutionary about this book in a way of helping people change their thinking, is that by choosing yourself first, you're actually helping more. You're
Yes.
actually able to be this better version of you and inspire people to be the same. And this is so counterintuitive, especially for a lot of us that grew up in really religious cultures. And we always hear, well, think of other people first, serve other people, almost serve to your detriment. And I'm not saying that the religions teach that, but the culture is sometimes
Yep.
cultivating that sacrifice energy, right? Sacrifice your life, endure to the end. If you just sacrifice to the end of your life, even if you're unhappy your entire life, then you receive this eternal
Yes.
reward, then you'll be happy in heaven. So, serve to the point where you can't serve anymore, where you're suffering. And it just pains me to see people that still have this belief system and that are in depression and struggle and heartache. And, I grew up in a community and a culture that really perpetuated, especially for women and especially for mothers, serve, 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 forget about yourself. And I saw so many women and so many mothers that fell into deep depression. And then their kids left and they'd done nothing for themselves and they felt like they had no purpose anymore. And it was just, it was really hard to see. So yeah, this idea of choosing yourself first, could you speak a little bit more to that? What are the steps for somebody that's been taught this culture of sacrifice or that has guilt and shame around doing things for themselves or spending time for themselves? What is a component or what is a key to be able to move past that and really start to choose yourself?
Absolutely. I just want you to know that this is literally step by step in the book, the questions to ask and answer. And here to simplify, I would say this: you have to first look at yourself and say, what do I believe? What do I even believe about me, about what is, about what a good wife is, a good mother is, a good woman is, a good friend is? And if when you answer those questions and you realize you're saying things like sacrifice yourself, uh do anything always for them, if you're seeing words like that, then you can see on paper that you are sacrificing yourself, that you aren't even in the equation. And then the next step is to say, what has been the cost of this belief?
Mm.
What does it cost me to have this belief? And there's going to be good things about it too. What has been good about this belief? There's value in everything, right? The reality is this is the gift. We get to choose whatever it is that we want. We
Mm.
don't have to accept the program unless we want to keep it. But we have to first know what the program is. So what is the program? Do I want to keep it? And what has it gifted me and what has it cost me? And do I want to keep it? If I don't want to keep it, what is it that I do want to keep? And what do I want to throw out? And you have to do this very intentionally. And sometimes it means, like for me, big moves, like leaving the cult. I mean, by leaving my husband, I was leaving my community, because you're not allowed to be divorced.
Yeah. Wow. Well, even when you said that, it was interesting. I noticed in me some things coming up,
Mm.
around who are you? What are you? And when you said, what do you believe about this? It's so interesting because for years, the programming was so strong that I would just recite, what I've been told I should be, or what others thought I should be, or what my culture, my religion, or the people outside of me told me about what I should be as a good mother or as a good wife. And I remember it was huge for me to actually break through this. And it was really hard. And I'm so glad that you wrote this book and that you have these steps in the book, because it makes the process so much easier. It can literally fast forward years off your process. This took me years to learn, but I remember as I was contemplating divorce, going to a church leader and explaining how toxic our relationship was. I mean, there were some pretty bad things going on there. And I mean, I'll take accountability for my part, but it had gotten so toxic in our marriage, and just getting the advice, well, stay married no matter what. I remember going to my parents, and that was their belief system. They said, well, maybe you could just live in separate houses, but still stay married, because you got to stay married no matter what. And I remember it really took me getting to the very bottom, like my very low spot, like wondering if I even wanted to live, to really take the time, and I hiked up to the top of this mountain with this backpack and this notebook, and I wrote myself a letter from my higher self, from God, like, what do I really want? What do I really believe? And in that moment was this clarity. But I mean, it took me years to be able to get there because of the programming. So yeah, I highly recommend for anybody who feels trapped in that old programming to go through the book, go through the process, really, really do this, and it will speed up your progress in the direction you want to go, because you're going to be able to understand and know that. So I really appreciate that. And so my question for you is, who really is this book for? I mean, I know you wrote it for you and it was channeled through you, but as it's now been released, it's a #1 bestseller. People are reading it. Who is this book for?
Well, that's a good question. Honestly, I think it's for, and this is a terrible marketing thing to say, but this is not why I did it. I didn't write this book for marketing purposes. I truly feel that if you're breathing, this is for you, because we've all been given programs that we didn't ask for. And we haven't been taught how to figure out what it is that we even think and believe. We don't know. We don't ask the questions. We haven't even been told that we're on a program. We don't know that we're 95% zombie and 5% conscious. That's the two minds, right? The conscious and this. We don't know this. We actually think that we're choosing. We're not choosing. We're on a loop. We're on a program. And so it's really for anyone who might want to discover what programs they have and rewrite them. My heart is to really help women in abusive situations, because I know, I got goosebumps. I know that this will help. I know that if they're in an abusive situation, they'll be able to see it clear and possibly find the strength in themselves to leave. If they're out already, it's going to help them not choose the same guys or same partners or whatever. I'm not trying to pick on women. I know there's men in abusive situations. I'm a woman, so I'm speaking about women. So it just will. It just will. If you do the questions, it'll transform your life. If you just read the book, it'll be a nice read. But if you actually stop and do the questions, you'll be fascinated by what it is that actually is going on, because we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. I had so many things come up just as you were talking about that. One of these, it was so interesting to me. So I just recently went to Burning Man, and Gerald and I hosted a camp there. And for me, that experience there, and for those who haven't been to Burning Man, it looks like a huge party, and that's partly it. But there's so many more things as this community of giving freely. There's no monetary exchange, of creating just to create. And there's such a beautiful sense of community and compassion and love, and everybody's friendly to everybody. Nobody judges. And it's this wonderful thing. And it was interesting because I was posting on Facebook about this, and somebody commented on my post, well, Burning Man's the new Sodom and Gomorrah. And I just immediately thought, oh, that's programming. That's what they've been taught, because they've never been to Burning Man. They've never experienced it. And it's so interesting, even how our programming spills over into judging other people and into not even trying to, but inadvertently or without even meaning to, maybe in the name of even saving them, of shaming people or guilting people,
Oh,
or, why don't you fit into this mold? And it's really beautiful to be able to break out of programming. And a couple of things have happened in my life as I've done that. And I'd really like to hear you speak to this too, like what happened as you were able to reprogram and let go of some of these limiting beliefs. But for me, it's just opened up so much more compassion for myself and
mm,
other people,
mhm.
so much more unconditional love for myself and other people. I feel like I'm not perfect, and there are times I still experience judgment towards myself or others, but it's like 1%, of the 100th percentile. And it used to be
Right,
95%,
right.
judging this person because they aren't doing what they should be doing, or I'm judging this or I'm
Yeah.
judging that within myself, or I'm not perfect. Oh my gosh, I'm going to hell. So for me, it's really created this freedom
Yeah.
and such happiness, such fulfillment, and such joy like I've never experienced in my life. For you, as you broke through these programs, as you were able to identify those and to gain a new belief system, and for the first time in your life, as you began to choose you, and as you continue to choose you, what have you noticed? What's different? What are the results? I know it's a big question with big answer maybe, but if you could
Yeah.
narrow it down, what have been the biggest benefits of going through this process yourself?
Ooh, that is a big question. I would say I'm not afraid and I'm free and I'm talking to you on TV or about this. This is insane. I wasn't in a photo for years, like
Mm.
this is, and it's not about being on Facebook. It's about being free. It's about being me, that I get to be 100% me, and I am completely okay with that. And
Mm.
I am allowed to be glorious, and I'm also allowed to be messy, and that's okay too. And that full acceptance of myself is the greatest feeling. And you're right. I have so much grace and so much compassion for others, because if you have compassion for yourself, then you can have compassion for others. There's a saying that's changed my life, and it's this: understanding replaces forgiveness in the mind of the master. Let me say
Mm.
it again. Understanding replaces forgiveness in the mind of the master. You can skip right over forgiveness when you have understanding. I don't need an apology from my ex. I don't need an apology from the people in the cult who hurt me. It doesn't matter, because they were doing the best that they could with the tools that they had and the understanding that they had and the programs that they were working with, right? No different than if a 2-year-old bites me, I'm not going to talk about it for the rest of my life. I'm not going to be offended, and I'm not going to be worried about an apology. I have understanding that people are wherever they're at, including me. So maybe it's them today, but it could be me tomorrow. And so, all right, I see you. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I don't have to take it personally.
Well, and I want to point something out. I want to say something, and some people might not like to hear this, but what I've noticed is that people that don't go through this process of really understanding limiting beliefs and being able to love and choose themselves, sometimes they will shift out of old belief systems. Like they'll leave a culture, they'll leave a community, they'll leave religion, and they go right into this frequency of hate or anger.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hate
yeah, yeah.
this. I'm so angry that these people program me. And what ends up happening is they're just as much a slave to that
Yes,
new programming of hate and anger as they were to the old programming of whatever that culture or religion taught
yes,
them.
yes.
And there's not a freedom. There's not a freedom to
No.
be you. There's not a freedom to allow other people to be them or to choose what they want to choose. There's so much judgment still and so much anger. And so, really, this is the way, like the process that you go through in the book, this is the way to true freedom. It's not
True freedom.
about breaking out of a limiting belief to accept a new limiting belief. This is the same
No,
cycle.
please no.
So,
Please no. Keep
so I
reading.
just I just wanted to say that. So if you find yourself,
Yeah.
shifting, but you're experiencing hate and anger, do this process so that you can experience that shift and that freedom of unconditional love and
Mm,
and
yeah.
acceptance of yourself and others. So beautiful. I just am blown away by the amount of love that you poured into this book, the amount of wisdom that's in this book. I mean, you really have lived so many lifetimes in your lifetime, and I'm really glad that you're sharing all that you've learned with us. And I know that recently you actually spent 30 days in India,
I did.
and continue to work on yourself and raising your frequency and being in this state of joy and unconditional love and bliss.
Yes.
And as we were talking about this podcast, I know there was an experience that you would like to share with everybody. So I'll let you talk about that, and we can lead into that experience.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
before we do
Oh,
that, one more thing.
okay.
Where can people find your book? Because
All right.
we'll
Yes.
mention this at the end again too, but tell us where we can get your book, and then let's lead into that
On
experience.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, there's other places, but Amazon's the easiest. It's getyourshittogether.life. If you go straight there, it'll go right to Amazon, right to my book. The Kindle version is only 99 cents right now. The physical copy comes out on Sunday. Please get your 99-cent copy at least. It helps with the rankings, and read it. You got to read it and share it with somebody you know. Be an angel. Help them. If you know someone in an abusive situation, this is a beautiful way to get it into their hands, because it doesn't say get away from abusive husband. It just says get your shit together.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Thank you so much, Amy. Okay, so share with us about this experience, this meditation that you want to gift to us today.
Yeah, so this beautiful group in Ekam, India, it's the World Center for Enlightenment. And enlightenment, by their definition, is the liberation from suffering, from all forms of suffering. And of course, this is what my mission is as well. And so I got to spend a beautiful month in their presence, in their high frequencies, and I will never, ever, ever be the same again. Um, I am in bliss most of the time, and they help me tremendously. So one of the meditations that I learned there is called Soul Sync, and it's just 10-12 minutes, and it's just beautiful, and it's the fastest way for me to go into bliss. And I'm really excited to share it with you. If you do this every day, your life will change, because you get to start it. I would do it in the morning, but you get to start your day in bliss, and that changes how you look. Your filter is different than as you move through your day. So yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to spotlight you and go ahead and start this music, and
Okay.
we'll start this experience.
All right, so you're going to want to sit cross-legged or straight in a chair, as straight as you can. You're going to put your hands on your knees or thighs like this, and we're going to count with our fingers. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 6 or 7 stages to this, I forget, but I'll remember as we go. And when I say count, this is how we're going to do it. You're going to keep your eyes closed the whole time, and you're just going to relax. Okay? This meditation scientifically helps in so many ways. It lowers your blood pressure, it lowers your heart rate, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which gets you out of fight or flight and into relaxation and into peace. And it's very, very, very healthy for you. So close your eyes. I want you to breathe gently. And we're going to take 8 conscious breaths, counting with our fingers, starting now. Now for phase 2, we're going to count 8 times and we're going to hum. Just hum along with me. Ready? Starting now. For phase 3, we're going to count 8 times. And we're going to just consciously observe the pause at the beginning and the end of your inhalation and exhalation. Just observe the pause, starting now. For phase 4, we're going to count with our fingers 8 times. We're going to inhale, and on the exhalation, mentally or quietly, we're going to say the words aham. Aham means in Sanskrit, I am limitless consciousness. Limitless consciousness. Aham. Ready? Starting now. this next phase, we're not going to use our fingers any longer. So just connect your index finger with your thumb, with your hands on your lap facing up. And right now, I want you to feel and see yourself dissolving completely into light. Now imagine the room that you're in dissolves completely into light. And now your building and all the people in the building are dissolving completely into light. Your land, your property, your town, dissolving into light. Now your state or your province or your country dissolving into light. Now visualize the earth, this beautiful planet, dissolving completely into light. And now the galaxies and all the universes and all the planets, everything is one, everything is light. And from this expansive place, I want you to visualize your greatest heart's desires. Visualize them completed. Visualize the feeling and the taste and the sound and the look and the joy of whatever it is that your heart desires, that it's come to fruition, that you're already celebrating its completion. And just bask in that for a minute. With your hands at prayer position at your heart, sit for a moment in gratitude for those beautiful things, for the things that you're experiencing right now in your life. Your heart beats 100,000 times without you having to ask it to. Your lungs are taking in air right now, sustaining your life. In gratitude is joy. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you so much, Amy. I definitely feeling my soul more full at this time, and really thankful for you, full of gratitude for you, for this journey that you've been on to share your message, and for this book that shares the processes that all of us can use to be able to break through our limiting beliefs and create new thought patterns that will allow us more happiness, joy, unconditional love, and grace. And could you share with people one more time, Amy, how they can get your book?
Yes, it's getyourshittogether.life, and it takes you straight to Amazon. You can get your ebook copy for 99 cents today. The physical copy comes out on Sunday. Get your copy, share it with a friend. I really just want to help as many people as possible. And you can reach me at amyjoycoaching.com. That's my website. And I would love to connect with you. Thank you.
Beautiful. And what's your final message you want to leave with everybody today?
Life is happening for you, and everything is here to help you.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Amy Joy, for joining. I'm Allison Maya Rose Rogers, And you've been listening to the Warriors of Light podcast. Thank you for being a warrior of light, Amy Joy.
Thank you.